There's that. There's the cam. Whoa, whoa, yuck. What does he got to say? What does he got to say? Been here the whole time waiting on you. Here he goes. Yeah, trying to act like he's been here. Turn on your mic. You gotta click it.
Yeah, there
There
it
you
is.
go, Trent.
There he
Now we're
is.
rolling. There's the co-host.
There he is.
There he is.
I mean, I'm looking on YouTube, trying to find it on Twitter. I'm not up to my technology standards sometimes.
Yeah, when you're almost 40, it happens. What?
That's true. I can't even deny that.
How are we doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Just let my dog in.
Let your dog in. Okay. We're having some minor technical
Ready,
difficulties
ready.
here over on the
YouTube side.
YouTube side. Almost got it.
Just waiting to field some of these questions.
There we go.
I see
Yeah.
G.
If you have a
Floyd's in the
question,
building.
request.
Tyler Felt.
Request to speak. We'll let you ask your question, and then we'll try to answer it the best we can. As two jocks that I was formerly a jock way less than Trent was. He at least got to play in college, but we're just nerds now. We're just nerds. But Chiefs, Michigan. I mean that Michigan State game and Pitt game was a no. Michigan State is playing right now. The
Yeah.
the Pitt game again with no Kyle Pickett or Kenny Pickett versus Tennessee. I might have gave one of our listeners in here, Tyler Felt, the lock of the century. Told him that it's Tennessee all the way, minus 7.5. Hit it maybe even with an alternate spread. There's no way they're losing to Purdue, and went ahead and pooped the bed on that one. So we're going to win all of our units back on the Wisconsin game tonight. Don't know why I picked a Wisconsin game to hit an over, but I'm hoping the Pac-12 can. Yeah, I got Wisconsin and over 42 points against Arizona State, so we'll see how that goes.
I hope Herm Edwards can put up some points.
Yeah, the Fighting Herm Edwardses. We'll see how they go.
Yeah.
But I need them to put up points, but I need Wisconsin to put up 7.5 more than them with the win to win some money.
Oh man.
Yeah, to win our money back. But Tyler Felt has a request, so we'll go to our first question of the night. Maybe he just unrequested. Request again. Don't do this to me. Alrighty, we will let Colton Maher in. Let's go ahead and he's our stats guy, but he can ask a question since Tyler got scared and denied his own request. So Colton, you asked the MVP question yesterday, but what do you got for us today?
I kind of want to hear Trent's answer.
Okay, Trent. His question yesterday was, who is the MVP for this year?
Oh. Me personally, I can say Jonathan Taylor. I mean, I think single-handedly he's put the Colts on his back and carried them to a possible playoff berth, and if Tennessee keeps slipping, might mess around and win their division, which I don't know if they can still, but I like Jonathan Taylor, but you know how the media is. It's going to be a quarterback award. I probably got a Rodgers, but my MVP is Jonathan Taylor.
MVP for this year. Yeah, I kind of threw Jonathan. I threw Jonathan Taylor in that discussion. I did also say with the 50 sports writers, you know how it goes when it comes to these writers and stuff. If it is supposed to be a what you do on the field type of award, but with this COVID stuff and the way Rodgers has kind of handled it, I said that they'll probably end up bringing that into what they have to say when it comes to all of it too. So there's a good chance that some of them don't vote for Rodgers just for the fact of the COVID and the way he handled the I'm immunized stuff like that. But I also threw out if Patrick Mahomes has a really good game against the Bengals. I mean, how do you not? He's kind of sparked the winning streak. He's brought them somewhat back into we're the best team in the NFL now kind of thing. How do we not throw him in there? And Taylor, I did also mention Josh Allen's he's been up and down. He's been a roller coaster, but he has a couple more weeks to show that he could do it. I really do think it's Aaron Rodgers' award to lose, which several people this year have lost it. I mean, it was Kyler Murray's with Coach of the Year going to Cliff Kingsbury at one point. Now that's kind of gone. And then there was, Tom Brady until the Saints game, and then that one disappeared. And then, Taylor.
Not to mention that everybody loved Herbert, and then you got people loving Burrow.
Exactly. And then Herbert went down and lost to the Texans, and that turned around to sound like that was a stinker for them. And we'll get into our picks tomorrow on the podcast before we let that out. But, it seems like, Mahomes was the surefire pick of like, oh, my gosh, he's going to be the greatest quarterback now. To now all they try to do is turn it around on him. Like, it was Herbert at the beginning of the season, like, oh, he's the one that's going to – like, he's better than Mahomes now. And then now it's like they're going to Burrow. It seems like they're trying to find a new quarterback every single time. When at the end of the year for the past couple of years, it comes down to Mahomes, Brady, and Rodgers, and that's who it is. I mean, that's kind of your main three quarterbacks that are like, hey, we're still here. And Mahomes is so young, like he can continue to build on that. But I think it's Rodgers. It's going to be tough for all the writers, I guess, to vote him in probably with the COVID stuff. Taylor, I talked about it. I think he has to kind of win the triple crown of running backs to get it because he doesn't even have the most yards from scrimmage. He isn't breaking that record. So it's kind of tough.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I mean, for a non-quarterback to win it, you got to put up a ridiculous season.
That's what I was telling. I said you got to have the yards per carry record. You got to have the touchdown record, and you got to have, or not even the record, just the most by running backs that year. You got to have the yards per carry. You got to have the most yards in a season, and you got to have the touchdowns in a season. I don't know if he has all three of those. I'm pretty sure he has the touchdowns and maybe the yards, or he might not even have the touchdowns. He might just have the yards. But he is honing in on the LaDainian Tomlinson. I think it's 23 or 24, Colton. How many was it yesterday?
It was 28 total.
28 total touchdowns.
And Jonathan Taylor has 17 and then 3 catching.
So 2 games left. That's going to be tough for him to get to 28, I think. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think, if he, like Colton said, he's 250 away from 2,000 and then he's 3 touchdowns away from 20. So there's a good chance that he could do something special, but I don't know if he's going to get to there. But it sounds like Trent's with Jonathan Taylor. I'm still with Rodgers unless Mahomes comes out here and throws for, maybe Mahomes does what Burrow did to the Ravens and throws for 525 and 5 touchdowns. How are you not going to give him the MVP to do that at the possible last game before the playoffs for him to get into the playoffs and be the number 1 seed? So we'll see how that goes. Next, we got Tyler Felt with a request on the hotline. Let's get him to be able to speak. Requested. Tyler Felt. You should be able to hear us now, Tyler, whenever you connect. And he disappeared. All righty.
Can you hear me
There
now?
He is. Hey, what's up,
Hello,
Tyler?
y'all. What's going on, fellas?
Nothing much. What you got for us?
I was curious, why was it that the touchdown at the end of there wasn't overturned and called a touchdown? Whenever he said forward progress got stopped in the Tennessee-Purdue game. That seemed like a pretty bogus bullshit kind of ticky-tack, lost me some money kind of play.
I agree 100% with you.
Lock of the week.
Let's ask, lock of the week. I apologize for that one. Really thought it was going to be that. But let's go to our official here in the chat. We will ask him. Go ahead, Trent.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it.
So
I'm gonna have to look it up.
I can kind of tell you. It's one of those. I think they kind of just jumped on it and said, "Oh, we blew the whistle dead or whatever." That's why it's gone. But in that game, the lock of the century, that was not ended up being the lock of the century. Tennessee, the running back, his forward progress isn't stopped, but they kind of blew a whistle to possibly it was stopped. He legitimately scores. Like, you need to pull it up, and we might get back to that. Chiefs Kingdom is in here. The Kingdom is in here. Appreciate you guys hopping in the space. But he clearly gets in the end zone. There wasn't – you could listen to it live. You could listen to it afterwards while they were reviewing it, and they even showed it on live TV or on the TV. You don't hear a whistle until he crosses the end zone. They still called him down. Forward progress stopped and gave the ball to Purdue, and Purdue ended up scoring and winning the game in overtime. But I mean, it was a wild game. I think there was I texted Trent. I said I think there was 3 touchdowns in the span of a minute 30 at the end of the game.
A minute, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
My biggest problem with the whole deal, though, was the fact that it was almost probably a full second or better after he'd reached across and broke the plane before the whistle blew. And then I still haven't figured that one out. Their officiating tonight was almost as bad as the NFL's.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, if you know me, if you've listened to the podcast, any, you know that I am not the biggest fan of officiating this year. I've called it kind of a dumpster fire. It's kind of tough. I know Trent tries to hold his tongue a little bit because he is an official. Now, granted, he's only a high school official, and we can sit here. We don't get to criticize most of his games. He's probably the best out there. He's that guy that if you've seen TikToks or the little quick videos, he's the one that's outrunning everybody to go call the touchdown in the end zone. He's outrunning everybody waiting for him down there.
Okay, so I found the video.
What do you got on us?
Okay, so my thoughts are on this is when he gets to the goal line and he gets hit the second time and they turn him back into the field of play and not across the goal line, then I think they blew it dead there. And then he reaches across. I think the problem is it's loud enough that they just can't hear it.
And but I think, yeah.
Me personally, I would have said he was down too.
You would have said he was down? Okay.
Short.
See, I'm a big proponent on letting the play finish. You know, like nobody's gonna get hurt if you there's very odd that people get hurt. But like if you don't know if you can't 100% tell the quarterback's arm's going forward for an incomplete pass, just don't blow it dead. Make sure, blow it dead to the spot as once there's a clear recovery or something like that. Like, just let the play materialize.
Okay,
how much easier would it be to it be a touchdown, go back and review it? I mean, either way, you're screwed in that sense. But overtime.
Right. No, you're right on that.
Tennessee got
I've seen it from another angle. It's a catch-22 because the Tennessee player is helping him into the end zone, which is technically a penalty, but they never call it.
No.
They call aiding the runner. Yeah.
You can't they have to have their feet on the ground, correct? But you can be pushed into the end zone, but you can't physically pick them up and throw them in there, right?
So what the guy's doing, his teammate is actually staying in the end zone and pulling him into the end zone. You can't do that. You push, but you can't physically pull him into the end zone. Mm-hmm. And then looking at it again, you're right. You're right on this one. They should have let it go because he technically wasn't down. Like his knees weren't down, but it's one of those iffies, those marginal calls. Like, okay, does a linesman say he's forward progress is stopped, or do you just ride it out and then try to go back to the tape and see? It's a kind of tough one.
Yeah, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing. It's what do you do? And then if you're gambling and I give you the lock of the century that Tennessee's going to win plus 6.5, or I think it was 6.5, maybe 7.5, then I look like the bad guy. So I am on the refs again, saying that the refs did a terrible job. Do your job, which is don't call that play. don't call them down. Let them get in the end zone. But if anybody else has another question that is listening in, go ahead and hit the request line, and we will get your next the question up here. This is the call-in show, so this is giving you guys all an opportunity to ask us really anything. Dakota Hall was in here. He used to be my roommate. Hopefully he's going to ask a sports question if he requests. He could ask dang near anything about our past, which is kind of scary. He is one of the only few that has some dirt on me. He has a picture of me with my pants below my ankles at a Buffalo Wild Wings taking a piss. I didn't know he had his phone out. We were making a joke, and the next thing I know, he took the picture. So usually that's he's always scared to put it on Facebook because he's a PE teacher, thank God. But he definitely always.
But he still has that dirt on him.
He has that dirt on me, and he usually sends it to me every year on my birthday. Just says, "Hey, remember this? I could get you," kind of thing. So. If this ever takes off, we might get in trouble because I might get canceled for having a butt pic out there on the internet one of these days. Looks like we got our other.
I don't want to see it though.
We got an SIU alum, closer for Southern Illinois University up there in Carbondale. Your brother also coached there, not baseball. He coached football. Yep. D-backs or linebackers coached there?
Carbondale. He did D-line, linebackers, and D-backs.
Jack of all trades. Just kind of like Colton was. Dude used to throw fire. I think his arm's falling off now. We're just golfers. But let's see what he has to ask us tonight. If it connects. I might. All right, Colton, you are live. Well, you got to unmute your mic.
All right, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. What's up?
Yep.
Not a whole lot. I liked hearing the offensive side of it, but I'm real curious about this defensive side of things.
For
anybody, defensive player of the year.
Oh, defensive player of the year.
Oh.
You know, I'm going to sound really biased, but I like Nick Bolton. I mean, you see, it kind of comes down to the Derrick Henry stats, how many carries he got versus how many carries Jonathan Taylor had at one point. You know, when people were kind of arguing who's better at this point this year, Jonathan Taylor or Derrick Henry. If you look at the snaps that Micah Parsons is taking, he's taking about 800 some, and Nick Bolton's only at 500, and he actually has more tackles for a loss than Micah Parsons. Granted, you know, the Dallas Cowboys being America's team, all that fun stuff. He's probably going to win it. I mean, but even on his, can you even say he's the best defensive player on his team? You got Trayvon Diggs that has 11.
No, see, my pick would be Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah, and that's what Deion Sanders reached out, and he even said it's Trayvon Diggs. There's no question. Like, what are we even doing trying to throw T.J. Watt in there or anybody else? Judon, I think. I was watching the Pat McAfee show today, and they had several players, and you know their props of plus 1,000. I think Judon got on there at plus 1,000. I think the favorite right now, if I am not wrong, I think was T.J. Watt, maybe. And it is crazy what he's doing for not playing a full season, but you know sometimes the best thing is to be available. And when you're not available on that defense, it looks completely different. You see, like when he went out against the Chiefs just recently, how bad that looked compared to when he's in there and he's able to get pressure. Now, granted, you know, Mahomes is really good at working through pressure and getting past the pressure. So also a quick tidbit before maybe you throw me one name, and I guess I got to break mine down to one name. People don't like to have a whole bunch of names, which I'm very hard on myself of not being able to pick one guy. I like the whole NFL as a whole. But the Bengals did say that they were going to try to pressure the crap out of Mahomes or whatever. And basically, as a Chiefs fan and knowing how good Mahomes is under pressure, it's more like a bring it thing. Like, go ahead and try it. But my number one defensive player of the year before I get you yours, Trent, I mean, I got to go Diggs because I got to think he's probably going to get one or two more interceptions. And I just think that's the easier thing to go with is just somebody that's breaking. I mean, he's the first guy to have 11 interceptions since 1981. I wasn't even born then. I don't think either of us was. I don't know if your brother's in here listening. He's probably about the only one that was born in 81 or close to 81.
Oh no, he's born in the 70s.
Oh wow. So he had the Jackie Moon fro at once. Not really. He's told me that he wasn't blessed with the hair either.
He did.
He had it? Okay.
Back in the day. Don't let him fool you. Yeah, he had a little curl back in the day.
There you go. But I gotta go. I think I'm going Trayvon Diggs. Just for the fact that you don't see a lot of people get that many even opportunities to get interceptions, let alone actually, you know, a defensive player actually having the hands to get that many picks. So I'm going Trayvon.
Right. Trayvon was my first pick. To agree with you, but I'm also going to throw Myles Garrett in there. I think that what that dude's doing this year is unbelievable. Was he getting drug tested every week just because he doesn't wear long sleeves?
Yeah, I mean, but if you like the pictures I saw with him not having long sleeves on, I was like, my God.
It's
but
massive.
Like we've talked about, they're all lab rats now. There's not like this isn't your father's NFL. There is no like just little guy. I mean, besides kickers and Adam Vinatieri was a 3-time state champion wrestler. So I mean, nobody's not an athlete out there on that football field anymore, except maybe old Roberto for the Colts kicker now. Well, he's hurt now, but when he was the kicker,
Rodrigo.
Yeah, Rodrigo. Is it Sanchez or is it just Rodrigo? I don't know.
No,
but yeah, it's Goggles. That's who I called him, was Goggles. Blankenship. Yeah.
Blankenship.
Yeah. He might not be quite an athlete, but yeah. Colton, who do you have as yours?
Well, you about named everybody that's out there. I'll be honest. You said Nick Bolton. That kind of sticks out. Mm-hmm. I feel like once you take into account everything, 100+ tackles, you know, with probably the least amount of opportunities out of all those guys. I think, you know, Trayvon Diggs, lots of good numbers. Guy did go to college as a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
couldn't make it. Put him on defensive side. I would hope he could catch the ball. You know.
I mean, that's one of those things.
His brother,
his brother is one of the better wide receivers. So that's got to be some jabs at Christmas. Is hey, you couldn't make it as a wide receiver. Look at me, I'm over here breaking these records, kind of thing. In the NFL, there's probably came to fisticuffs at one point in their life. My guess.
And some of it, I wonder if you take into account how many of them were just bad balls.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think he picked off Mahomes at all.
I don't know if it all goes down to a coverage guy making those plays, or if it's just absolutely bad thrown balls. So
you got to get lucky
Colton,
to get.
Actually, Colton, hold on. Colton makes a good point. Like, does Micah Parsons get credit for some of those interceptions for quarterback hurries? For quarterbacks just throwing bad passes, like he said, and he just gets a gift given to him.
Yeah, I mean, he picked off Brady though. I mean, but granted, it's not a lot of Brady's balls. You never know anymore what they're going to do. I mean, but there is some lucky ones, but then there's also like 11 in one season hadn't happened since 1981.
I don't doubt
the
guys make plays.
No,
I don't doubt.
But I've seen some.
But
a
couple of them, I feel like it's just a ball in the air, and he's like, "Oh, cookie, let's grab it."
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there was I forgot was it the Saints game that he got one, returned it for a touchdown, and then the next play he got burnt because he tried to under route one. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Marcus Peters.
He's uber aggressive.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of Marcus Peters, and I love to have Peters. Like he's going to go out and try to make a play, and he might get got, but he's trying to get less than he got, or however our buddy Skittles Marshawn Lynch said it back in the day. I'm gonna get got, but I'm gonna get more than I get got or something. There's too many gets and gots in there, but he definitely. I mean, it's one of those that the defensive player of the year or the defensive MVP, I feel like, is a lot tighter race than the MVP right now, except for the fact that every time we say, okay, this guy's surefire the MVP, it turns out that he's not because they go ahead and have a stinker game. I do have Steve Anthony over here on YouTube. He said TB12, but of course he says that. And then he asked me if I was the Phil Mickelson of Woodland Hills. I'm going to say yes, because technically Mickelson does lose a lot more than he wins, and I did happen to lose one. But we do have our Phil Mickelson game of the year sometime this year. So we'll see. You do own the rights to the name now, but I'm coming back for that crown. All right. That's where I'm at on that. Colton, thank you for the great question there. Coach of the year, actually, what's crazy is the betting odds-on favorite for Coach of the year is actually the Packers coach, Stefanski. No, that's the Browns coach.
Oh, Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, I knew he would come in here. I said it wrong because I knew he'd come in here and have to say something. But, Matt LaFleur is the odds-on favorite. I mean, it's another thing. I'm not trying to be a homer, but how is Andy Reid not there to go from we're supposed to go undefeated to being able to play like crap, look terrible, and then flip it around, and then now we're arguably the best team in the AFC. I mean, you got to give some love for that, to have a coach to be able to go through the highs and lows and get your team back to where they need to be on the schedule.
So what happens if the Dolphins make a run?
I mean, I think Flores is there, but yeah, I mean, it's tough, because how do you give it to somebody that lost 7 games in a row? And the only way you can do that is if you go and win. If you go and win 7 games in a row after you lose 7 games in a row. So it's one of those, like, it'll be interesting to see. That one's another close one. I like Flores too. That they talked about that a lot on the Pat McAfee show today as well, of who they were going to give it to. I mean, he's in the conversation, but they turn around and lose to the Titans this week, and then lose in week 17, or is it technically 18? Week 18, then he's right back to not being in the conversation because they're not in the playoffs.
Might be looking for a job.
Yeah. I think I don't know. That's tough, and it's tough. Like, what are you gonna do for Tua? Like this offseason?
Tough.
Yeah, this one's.
I think you got to go back, look at the opponents for that schedule.
I mean, they beat the Patriots right off the rip.
2 teams in there.
Yeah.
After their 7 games,
Yeah, I mean, these 7 games were fairly easy. You got to think that they were playing the second hardest schedule for their division. Like, that's another thing. You look at I forgot who it was, the Bengals. You look at the Bengals and everybody's talking about how good they are, and you get into it and you're like, okay, they are pretty good, but who are they playing outside of their division? Well, they're playing the 4th worst team in each conference, like when they go to play other conference teams, besides the Chiefs. Their schedule is going to be more to the worst teams in the division because they were ranked 4th in that division, the AFC North. So we'll see how that all plays out and who ends up getting the W this Sunday. Why it's not flexed to a Sunday night football kind of pisses me off, but I'll take a 12 o'clock game. It's probably going to be icy and all that here in the greater Kansas City, Fort Scott area, wherever you're all at. But if we got anybody else that wants to ask a question, hop in here on the line. If not, I'll give Trent some hot takes and see what he has to say to answer them if nobody wants to request a line.
I'm trying to find myself a hot take question.
Oh, I got one for you.
Uh-oh.
I've got a question if nobody has one.
Go ahead, Colton, and then we'll get to the kingdom after this.
Thoughts on Hall of Fame finalists?
That's tough, dude. I saw the list of the Hall of Famers and who it was going to be, and I'm like, how are not all of these in there? I think Andre Johnson has to get there. That's one of them. He's kind of been a guy.
Just on the fact that he beat. Oh gosh.
Oh yeah, the
Finnegan?
Titans guy at the time.
Yeah.
Snatch his helmet off. Yeah. I mean that was before the
Cortland Finnegan.
Yeah, Cortland Finnegan. That was before the Mason Rudolph helmet off thing. I mean, when Johnson snatched his off. But the 15 Pro Bowl finalists that he is alluding to is Devin Hester. I mean, the greatest kick returner, punt returner of all time. Andre Johnson, one of the greatest to never.
Tony Baselli's up there for it.
Not get anything. We got Reggie Wayne. You got Torrey Holt, DeMarcus Ware, Patrick Willis, Jared Allen, Richard Seymour, Zach Thomas, Rondé Barber, Leroy Butler, Bryant Young, Sam Mills, Tony Baselli, and Willie Anderson.
Dude, that is stacked.
Yeah, how do you not put them all in, you know? That's kind of where it's at. I like Reggie Wayne, Devin Hester. Granted, if this is first year, I don't know how they do it in the NFL. It's like I know MLB a little bit more. Like you're basically on it until you don't get a percentage of the votes, and then they kind of vote you off. Baselli's got to get in there. He's probably been on it for a while.
Dude, he's got to get on there.
Yeah. Rondé Barber.
He survived the crappy times with the Jaguars.
Yeah, exactly. When, the Jaguars are first made to be able to.
Butler was nice at Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
I mean, Zach Thomas, just to show you that a small guy, middle linebacker, I'm sure that could have very well been Josh Latimer's favorite player. That's who I always remembered Zach Thomas as, was basically being Josh Latimer, just an undersized linebacker that would just go up and hit you right in the mouth. Shout out to the McAfee boys.
Dude, and then what Patrick Willis did for this short stint he played in the league.
Oh, yeah.
Ridiculous.
And Jared Allen basically had two separate careers, one with the Chiefs and one with the Vikings, and how good they were.
Yeah.
I mean, Richard Seymour with the Patriots. I mean, there's DeMarcus Ware with the Cowboys. He was always a staple in that defense. And you got Torrey Holt. Was Holt technically part of the Greatest Show on Turf, or was he right after that?
Yes, he was.
He was. Okay, that's what I thought.
I think he was. Yeah,
because it was.
And if anybody out there listening, if I'm wrong, I apologize, but I think he was. Yeah. I think it was his rookie year.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, he wasn't the one that got stopped short because that was the Tennessee Titans player, and his name's passing me, but
it's Dyson. It was Kevin Dyson.
Yep. The Dyson vacuums. That's what I remember him by, even though it's not his thing. But then Reggie Wayne, coming in right after Mr. Marvin Harrison that I ain't messing with. I want him in a street fight more than anything. But to come in right after Marvin Harrison, put up all those numbers, and to basically do the same thing, he's got to get in there. I think, what do they do? They have 5, I believe.
I think he gets in.
You don't think he does? Or you do?
No, I think he does.
I think playing with Peyton Manning really helps you get into the Hall of Fame, and with Manning already being there. But I mean,
that 3-headed monster should get in. You got Marvin Harrison's in there. Then you got my man Edgerrin James is in the Hall of Fame now. Reggie Wayne has to get in too.
Austin Collie has to get some love, right?
Go listen to the Pat McAfee story. No, that ain't happening.
Dude, that dude has more concussions because he would just go and get a football for Peyton Manning because he was scared that he wouldn't get a pass ever to him again in his life. That I mean, I think Peyton Manning probably needs to be paying for all of his doctor visits as he gets older. But I like Devin Hester to get in this year too, just because he is like the fact that he is the only player to return the opening kickoff. Granted, it might have been Tony Judge's fault for kicking it to him and trying to kind of big boy him and say, hey, we're not scared of nobody out here. But to return the opening kickoff for the Bears in that Super Bowl was something awesome to watch. I mean, it's up there with the things that you remember from Super Bowl was him returning that kick, the lights going out, and then the 49ers making a comeback kind of thing against the Ravens. I mean, it's up there with the recency things of things that we've seen. But we do have the Kingdom.
That's a conspiracy theory with the lights out.
Hey, you had to do it. You were losing money. I'm pretty sure I was halfway through a bottle of Jägermeister at halftime because it was such a blowout back in the day. So, and I was through it because I picked the damn 49ers to win it.
Side note, Washburn had 3 football players playing in that Super Bowl.
Heck yeah. You weren't one of them, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, sure wasn't.
Where would we be if you were? You never know.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Every time I look back to check on this Pitt Michigan State game, it's on commercial. So, Colton Hearn,
someone was just hurt.
If you know the score, throw that in here real quick for us.
I got you. It's 21-10. 10 minutes left.
Michigan State?
My man.
Pitt.
Okay.
Pitt.
So Tone Diggs wore a Pitt sweatshirt today on the Pat McAfee show because it was given to him, but he picked Michigan State. So, I don't know how he feels about that right now. If you're losing dollars, you're not happy, but if you're rooting him on by wearing the jersey, maybe you're excited for him. But let's get the Kingdom in here. They are requesting a line. Boom. Request. The Kingdom Cast. If I can press the button right, you are in live. Once he connects. There we go. Maybe. Hello. What's up?
Hello.
Hey, fellas, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing good. Sorry, it was weird. Like y'all were talking about something else, and then all of a sudden it just clicked my name. So,
I know it cuts out. I apologize.
I think I got a delay or something.
I think the spaces. It's Twitter's fault. They need to figure all that out.
Right. Yeah. No. Hey, just real quick. I want to get somebody else's opinion on this. All of this, Damian Woody and these guys on NFL Network with these graphics saying that they take Joe Burrow over Patrick Mahomes. Dude, is that just for clicks or to get discussion, or do you think maybe there's some people out there that believe that Joe Burrow is better and they would take Joe Burrow over Patrick Mahomes? It almost sounds like they believe it when they're saying it, and when they're talking about it, and there's nothing. Patrick Mahomes is rewriting every significant statistical record as he goes along. First 30 games, first 40 games, first 50 games, first 5 seasons. Mm-hmm. The dude's undefeated in December. I mean, I just don't. I almost think that there's nobody that could actually believe that. But when you hear him talk about it, they sound genuine.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious
what
you guys think.
It's one of those. So,
first of all, thanks for the question.
Yes, great question. Damian Woody, if he doesn't believe it, like the way he stared at that camera today and talked about it, if he doesn't believe it, then we need to get him in Hollywood because he's one of the better actors I've ever seen out of some of them. I mean, it's not recency bias because Mahomes is on the come up, and I don't know if it's I think I said something about this at one point, Trent, of how it's kind of the LeBron James effect. They're already the greatness, everybody says, it's Tom Brady. He's the numero uno. He's the guy right now. So he's the Jordan of the NFL when it comes to being the GOAT or whatever, in a sense. And Mahomes is that young guy trying to fight for it. And they're giving him the LeBron James effect. We know you're the best, but for us to continue to keep our ratings up, to keep talking about it, to keep people interested, we got to go out here and say other people are. Now, did Mahomes have some rough patches this year? Yeah, but if you go look at his stats, why he had the rough patches, they weren't that bad. I mean, balls tipped off of Hill's hands. Kelsey even dropping some passes.
We had a case of the dropsies.
Yeah, I mean, but none of that's Mahomes' fault. He was still putting up yards. I think he was still at one point, even through all that, he was the top 5 rated quarterback in the league with yards and all that.
I think he He still has one less interception than Joe Burrow, and he has at least 6 that I've counted that were tipped and hit the receiver in the hands.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the dude could be sitting at 33 TDs and like 5 or 6 interceptions right now.
Exactly, and then you're putting him in a comparison with Aaron Rodgers of not having no interceptions and all these touchdown passes, and that's what I saw even comparing Mahomes to Burrow. Like they did this with Herbert last year, and then it was Watson the year before, and it's all tried and true. At the end of the day, Mahomes is still probably going to be up there doing his thing. And these other teams, like next year, how's it going to look when the Bengals don't have an offensive line and they have to go play, if they win, they got to go play all these number 1 teams. They got to go play the Bills or the Ravens, or not the Ravens. The Ravens are in their division, but they got to go play the Bills. And then they have to play either the Patriots or Titans that are probably fully healthy. And they go over to the NFC and they're playing Tampa Bay or they're playing the Saints or something like that. Tougher teams than what they're going over there and playing now. And another thing, like I saw them, and this is my thing, is they try to compare Joe Burrow to a young Tom Brady. And I tweeted it out on the You Hear Us podcast, is that, like, I would love to have that argument over Mahomes and Burrow for the fact that what Burrow's doing compared to what Tom Brady had to do at the beginning of his career isn't even an argument. Like, Burrow's doing way more than that, but he's not even sniffing.
Plus, Burrow has too much swag for you.
Yeah. and what Burrow's doing there by outdoing Brady, he's not even sniffing what he's doing against Mahomes. Like Mahomes in his second year threw 50 touchells. Was that right? Is that right?
And to piggyback on what you said,
or something like that, yeah.
They didn't ask. Bill Belichick didn't ask Tom Brady to do what Joe Burrow was asked to do for Zach Taylor.
Yeah.
I mean, they're giving Joe Burrow the ball. Say, hey, we don't got shit. We don't have an O line, and you got to do what you got to do to get us a W.
Yeah.
For Tom
was built on the defense. It was built. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hand the ball off to, who was it? It wasn't Corey Dillon yet.
Who
was it? It wasn't Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk wasn't. Did Marshall Faulk ever play for the Patriots?
I almost want to say he did, but that was before he was good with.
Yeah. Patriots running back in the 2000s.
No, it's Colts. It was the Colts.
Yeah, that's right. But I mean, like he wasn't meant like what was the stat? He threw 18 touchdowns to like 12 interceptions his second year in the league, on 15 games. It was Antoine Smith was who it was in 2001. But yeah, I don't see the Burrow comparison to Brady. I think it's just they're playing really good. Or the Burrow comparison to Mahomes. They're playing good. That's who's up on the schedule now. He's kind of came out guns a-blazing with 33 touchdowns, I believe, this year. But still, I mean, Mahomes' second year in the league was his MVP season, and Burrow's not even close to what his MVP season, Mahomes' MVP season was. And for Woody to say that he's taking that for the next 5 years over, you also have to look at what Mahomes is. Now, granted, is Hill getting older? Could he possibly regress eventually? Kelsey could regress, yeah. Does Burrow have younger wide receivers? Yeah, but look at the Chiefs' rebuilt offensive line that's going to protect him. Like, now that Mahomes, it seems like it's clicked for him that he can sit there, like against the Steelers, he sat there and waited in the pocket for it. I mean, somebody said when he threw a touchdown to Pringle, he could have had a canister of Pringles waiting for him to get open in the end zone. So, I mean, with him to know he has this much time, and if they can keep all those people around, like, it's going to be scary to see Mahomes with patience, and even the ball that was dropped by Pringle, I think, where he threw it before he was even into his break and he dropped the ball. It was like, okay, I mean, we got Steve in here who's definitely probably going to be asking a Tom Brady question here or letting us know about Tom. But, I mean, Mahomes it's kind of like LeBron. It's kind of like Kobe. Just you better enjoy it while it's here because you might not ever see it again. There's going to be a lot of people tugging on the cape, but eventually it's not going to be here in 10 years from now, 15 years from now. We're going to be able to tell our kids about it, but our kids aren't going to really understand it. But great question, The Kingdom. We'll keep you on. Go ahead.
To piggyback on that, I think a lot of what Damien Woody, and he should have prefaced this a little better, when he's jumping on his next 5 years, like, do you take, like you said earlier, do you take the young core of Mixon, Higgins, Chase, and Boyd over the next 5 years, or do you take Mahomes and the aging Hill, Kelsey, and whoever else they have in the backfield? But that's how he should have prefaced the question. But either way, he still take Mahomes because he's been there, he's done it, he's been to the Super Bowl, he's won one, been to the Super Bowl, lost. Like Burrow hasn't done that yet. And then even like you said, in his second year, AFC Championship, you come up with D Ford offsides
from going 5-5 was offsides, yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean so that's three straight.
It's not a comparison, yeah. But I think they should have done a better job of prefacing the question. Mm-hmm. But it's still got to go with Mahomes.
Yeah, Mahomes is the closest thing that you're going to see from Brady, just for the fact, like, not play wise, because Mahomes is a better version of Tom Brady in his younger years. But that, by what me saying that, is Brady had Belichick, Mahomes has Reed. Like, that's what you don't understand. Zach Thomas or Taylor or whatever his name is over there for the Bengals.
Yeah.
Isn't Andy Reid. Now, could he be 20 seasons from now? Maybe. But he's not Andy Reid right now. Like, you have a bad season with Burrow, guess what the first thing he's going to do? Oh, the coach is holding back Joe Burrow. It's time to get rid of him. If Mahomes has a bad year, you're not getting rid of Andy Reid. So, like, you have that ability. And now will they ever have a bad year? Probably not, unless, some injury or something happens. But, like, you have that perfect balance of quarterback and coach that he's been through two coordinators, probably going to go through his third one next year, and it's just going to still be, hey, we're rolling down the line. Just keep it moving. How you doing? Keep it moving kind of thing. All right. Great question. The Kingdom. Make sure if you're not...
Let's get Steve.
We're getting Steve. The Kingdom Cast. Make sure if you're not following them, they are a Kansas City Chiefs show, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Central Time. So definitely give them a follow and make sure you listen to them. We will definitely be doing it. Steve Anthony, Tom Brady super fan. Let's see how this goes.
Also, update on the Pitt Michigan State game, 21-16, 4:30 left. Michigan has ball.
Uh-oh. Don't call it a comeback. Steve, if you unmute your mic, you are good to go.
You got me?
Gotcha. Ask away, boss.
Hey, well, I was going to ask one question, but I'm going to come back on what you guys were saying. It is so unfair to compare Joe Burrow to Tom Brady. Are you kidding me?
I know, because Joe Burrow's so much better at a young age.
Oh, Dylan, shut up. Come on, man. Come on. You're talking about somebody that's been in the league 2 friggin' years compared to the GOAT. I mean, come on.
Okay, look, but he's the GOAT. He might be the GOAT now, but you got to think about it. But, hey, what was Tom Brady asked to do when he came in the league after Drew Bledsoe got his chest broken in half? And then what has Joe Burrow been asked to do his first year in the league? Like, it's not comparable. Now, over the course of 20-plus years, yeah, there's
Joe Burrow's
too, but we're saying compare.
Those guys make way too much money now, Trent. Those guys make way too much money. There's no way he plays 20 years. You think Mahomes is going to play 20 years?
No. I mean, he might. Well, no, it depends. But also, you have to think that when Brady was in the league, they didn't make more money, but these rookies don't make as much money in the first contract that Sam Bradford and all them
Matt
did.
Stafford's the last one.
Yeah.
I think Matt Stafford was the last days to get that big contract.
Big money though.
Well, no, Brady never. That's why Brady's going to go down as probably the greatest, because he was able not to ever take enough money from.
Did you say probably
from the teams? Yeah, I mean, it might be in your lifetime he's the greatest, but shit, when we're all dead and buried, there might be a robot out there that ends up in the NFL that wins 20 years in a row.
It would have to be a robot to be better than Brady.
Hold on now. I don't know if Brady's that immortal. He has lost some Super Bowls, so there is always that argument. But you did say you had some type of other question besides the Brady love.
What do you guys think Cincinnati's chances tomorrow against Bama?
Oh man.
I don't. Yeah, it's tough because when you have this much time, you kind of start giving that underdog a little bit of love, like, hey, maybe they can do it. But then you always have to remember that it's Bama. They have 65 dudes, like Pat McAfee show was saying today. They have 65 dudes that are going to play in the NFL. Cincinnati might have 3 or 4, so it'd have to be like a Mighty Ducks thing that or the USA versus the Russians. The 1 out of 10 times they get it.
One of my really good friends from back home. Huh?
Go ahead, Steve. What's up?
I'll put to you this way that you like. Go ahead, Steve. I'll say it after you say it.
One of my really good friends from back home. We grew up 2 houses from each other, he is the offensive line coach for Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm really pulling for them tomorrow. He was at Stanford. He coached at Harvard for a couple of years, and then he went to Stanford when he won back-to-back Rose Bowls with Luck.
Yeah.
No, with Luck. And then,
okay.
Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
But then he called me one morning at 4:00 in the morning and said, "I'm going home." And I said, "What do you mean you're going home?" And he said, I'm going to West Virginia. And I said, "And you're calling me at 4 a.m. to tell me that?" And he goes, "No, I'm going to coach at West Virginia." And I said, "You're leaving Stanford to go to WVU?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "You just want to back-to-back Rose Bowls." Well, then he was at West Virginia for 6 seasons, I think, and then he went with Luke Fickell to Cincinnati. So,
well,
rooting for Cincy tomorrow.
Yeah. So on that being said, with the Cincy game, I really like. I'm a big underdog. I always don't want to see Bama win, Trent. But I think unfortunately Bama wins. Might be too many points. We can root for that. Or like I said, it could be a USA versus the Russians. They possibly sneak it out of them.
This is my thought. Like, Steve, no, like, hey, it's like me shooting a subpar round. It's possible, but it's very unlikely. Like, everything has to go perfect for that to happen. So, like, everything has to be perfect for Cincinnati to even sniff a chance, and it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, and it's kind of like not so everything has to be perfect, but you're also playing Nick Saban after a 2-week break with all of his players playing, with all of his players ready. It doesn't sound like there's any COVID problems there, and if there was, they were probably hiding it until after the game kind of thing. And it's one of those that there's no way Saban lets that happen. Now, could Saban lose the national championship? Yeah. But this game, with that so much time to prepare, it's like Andy Reid after a bye. It's like Bill Belichick after a bye, and he actually has the players to do it. Not a rookie quarterback. I mean, now Saban knows he has the Heisman Trophy winner quarterback there. It'd be amazing. Like I said, I'm always a Midwest guy. I'm rooting for Cincinnati to win. You know what's crazy is if Cincinnati wins, they probably get an indoor practice facility, which they probably already have them before Cincinnati Bengals do.
Before the Bengals.
So, yeah, the boosters will be back. If Luke Fickell can somehow do it, he's probably getting a lifetime contract where it's $1 million, or we'll always throw $1 million on top of any contract that any other school offers you. Like, he's going to be there to take care of. He's going to be taken care of for life. So I hope it happens. I don't know if they're quite there yet. You know, when they get to the Big 12, there's a good chance that we do see Cincinnati back there. And, you know, they kind of start getting that notoriety because it is, as of now, one of the Power 5 conferences. They can be a shoe-in. You know, all they have to do is just win the conference. But I don't see it being pretty for Cincinnati next.
The only thing I can see is the game starting out sloppy just because neither team has played in, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
2 weeks? Yeah, I can see it being kind of sloppy at the beginning. But it's still going to take a lot of divine intervention for Cincinnati to pull one off.
Yeah, and fun fact from our stats guy, Colton, he put over on YouTube that Bearcats with the spread, because so far double-digit spreads are 0-5 this bowl season. So I think it's 13.5 for Bama. So I do think that is too many points, but it's one of those, like, Bama always does it. Like, the games are close. I forgot who else it was that they were close earlier. Maybe it was Florida. Maybe it was
Auburn.
Yeah, one of them. And the next thing you know, they're up like 20 points, and you're like, oh, well, it's not a game anymore. It's Alabama.
Oh, no, it definitely wasn't. It definitely wasn't Auburn. Then they almost lost that game.
Yeah, they should have lost that game. If the coach remembers that they're playing with house money and just goes for 2, they win that game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what you have to do it. You're not supposed to be there. You might as well go for it, kind of thing.
Don't make the game longer.
That's how KU beat Texas. They went for 2. They said we're not supposed to be here. We're not supposed to be able to beat Texas. We're a basketball school. Let's go do it. And that's how Casey got all the Applebee NIL deals and everything like that. Gary Floyd asked us on YouTube, what's the biggest reason for the Chiefs' defensive turnaround? I feel the Chiefs' front four will dominate the game and make Burrow look average. Yeah, and that's to piggyback on what you said there at the end, Gary. I did say that I think it doesn't really come down to the skills positions or the running game per se. It comes down to how fast or either of the quarterbacks going to get the ball out. I think Mahomes is going to have a little more time. We know that the biggest thing for the Bengals is their offensive line, and the way our defense has been playing, it's going to be very tough for that offensive line to even hold for probably 2 to 3 seconds to let Burrow to get in his progression. So if he's not being able to hit his first read, it's going to be a long night. The biggest Chiefs turnaround, I think if you listen to the podcast, Trent knows, everybody knows, I've said it. The less whites that are on the field for our defense, the better off our defense has been this year. I know number 49 got a pick six at one point, but it's not.
Hey, we're going nowhere without 49 and Neiman.
Oh, you quit right now. You're just trying to save face. No, I will say it's not. No. Neiman has played a lot better. He's made some open field tackles that have impressed me. But the biggest turnaround is there for the first 5 or 6 games. Jones wasn't on the field with Willie Gay, or if Willie Gay was out, Anthony Hitchens was hurt. I mean, now we actually have depth at each position. Everybody's back. It looks like the only person that missed practice today was Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He wasn't there. But besides that, even Mike Hughes was back. Everybody, Fenton's healthy. We got L'Jarius Sneed, all of them. So, I mean, I see it being we're getting healthy right at the right time. They even said that Tyrann Mathieu' thigh, hip, hamstring was fine. He was moving around good. So, I don't know. I almost want to say that this might be a statement game, because if the Titans go down to the Dolphins, which I don't think they're going to, but if they happen to lose to the Dolphins, the Chiefs have locked it up, and the number 1 seed's ours, I believe. So, bada boom, bada bing, we just make a statement there, and we move on. But do you have any other bigger turnarounds for the Chiefs defense besides the less whites on the field?
I mean, finally realizing that Chris Jones isn't a defensive end, put him at D tackle.
Melvin Ingram trade obviously was,
It's huge. It's huge. And it adds so much pressure up front that your DBs don't have to cover for more than 5 seconds. Because I don't care how good DB you are, you can't cover a receiver for 3 to 5 seconds. That's just ridiculous.
Exactly.
I mean, the receiver knows where to go. The DB doesn't. So I think adding that and then the Spags figuring out what works is one of the keys for the biggest turnarounds.
Michigan State has just made the full comeback. It's 24-21 Michigan State. I just got that update on YouTube. Also do want to give a quick shout out. We don't have too many more people in the spaces that haven't asked any questions, but if you have any more questions, just request it and we'll go on and get those in there. But shout out to Prize Picks being our sponsor. If you use code YouHearUs, or if you holler at us, DM us, we have a link that you can just click the link and sign up. But you get a 100% deposit match on any dollar amount that you put on the app up to $100. So if you put down $10, you get 10. If you put down $100, you're going to get $100. So you got $200 to gamble with. Well, not supposed to say I'll say gamble. I don't care. It's my show. How about that?
To wager?
To wager, yeah. To win your money back. And if you hit if you get all 5 picks right over under their fantasy or stat line, you will get 10 times the amount gambled. So that is code YouHearUs, or holler at us, DM us for the link, and we'll get you on there. If you haven't, definitely go over to YouTube, like the YouTube video. That'll boost our numbers up, get us viewed more. What we're trying to do is we're trying to eventually turn this into a live show where you only don't see my ugly mug. You actually see Trent's too. A little bit cuter than me. Black don't crack. It's always beautiful. The older I get, the more bags I get under my eyes. But him, he stays staying looking young. He's got Clyde's genes. I think it was your dad. He's 80-something now. Still more fleet of foot than I am.
No, he is 79. He's still 79.
79. Okay, close enough though.
Hold on. Yeah.
My hot take for you, Trent. We'll be out of here. We've been on here for an hour, so we'll get out of here shortly. Is Cliff Kingsbury holding back the Cardinals? That's my hot take question for you.
Oh, no, right now I think injuries are holding back the Cardinals. Cliff Kingsbury holding back the Cardinals. I can't say that until I see a fully healthy Cardinals team and how they handle a playoff run or some adversity. But without, I mean, I'd like to see a healthy, like kind of a fair shot, because I feel like he's done enough this year through free agencies and trades and stuff to try to build a pretty solid football team. But man, he could. That's a tough one.
That's
right now. I'm gonna say he's not the problem. I know. Right now, I'm gonna say he's not the problem. Basically, he's not the problem until he is the problem. But no, I'm gonna say right now, I don't think he's a problem. I think some college coaches can make the transition, and right now, I think he is making the transition. Okay.
Yeah. He's doing a lot better.
So I'm gonna stick to it. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say he's not gonna be the problem.
You want to hear one of the craziest stats that I saw though? Even dating back to when he was in college, his first 7 games, most of them were like I think the worst he did was like 4-3, but then after that he has a losing record even in college. Like after his first 7 games, so it makes you wonder like maybe
it makes
he's
sense because they're on a slide right now.
Yeah, and exactly, and like I need to see if I can find that stat, but it was insane. Like how many games he's lost in the end of the season. But after going off, like he was even 7-0 one time at Texas Tech, and then lost like 2 of 5 or something like that, or however many games they played. Like an insane stat line that is like, geez, like this is insane that you could even be that bad after being so good. Now, granted, in college you probably played the Texases, the OUs, stuff like that later on in
they didn't play them yet.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm not going to be able to find it. I don't know if anybody else can see it or like that, but it's crazy to think that you can be so good to be so bad to – what was he, an OC for a couple days at USC before they decided, hey, we're going to bring you on to Arizona? So that's pretty cool that he was able to make that jump. I think he's proven that he can be in the league. But if they fall apart this season, then he might be on the hot seat after being the shoe-in of head coach of the year. Still there, Trent?
Yeah, I'm still here. I got sidetracked. My daughter.
I know. I heard you caught her. I was like, oh, okay.
So I missed it. Yeah, I was trying to hit mute on my microphone.
Oh, you're all good.
I think I muted everybody.
It happens.
She's curious. She's sitting beside me trying to figure out what's going on.
There you go. But yeah, like you said, injuries. J.J. Watt's not on that side of the defensive side of the ball, and he's kind of like a Tyrann Mathieu. He helps you so much on defense, just getting lined up, anything like that. And then you don't have arguably one of the better wide receivers, which is crazy. Like a lot of people were saying Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams, but then like they forget about Hopkins. Like he dropped his first pass of the year on that one that we both saw it, and we were like, he actually didn't drop that. There's no way, kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
But
I remember texting you when that happened.
Yeah, and I was like, I still don't believe it. I said, I still don't believe it that he dropped that pass.
It's a glitch in the matrix.
Exactly.
It's a glitch in the matrix.
Yeah. Well, if nobody else has any questions, I think that's going to be our first. This will be our wrap up. Squirrel. That's what Drew said. Yeah. Drew said squirrel for Trent. Gary Floyd did say Miami is beating the Titans. You heard it here first, 20-17. Is what Gary says. I think the Titans are going to win. But granted, I think A.J. Brown's out. Possibly Julio. He hasn't played the whole year, it seems like. Drew says the biggest reason for the Chiefs' turnaround was getting healthy and getting Ingram so Chris Jones can move back in the interior. Yeah, moving Chris Jones in the interior was one of the biggest things. Unfortunately, just in some other news, KU plays George Mason with some pending weather moving in, and the sellout streak of it's the longest sellout streak of the stadium ever in history is in jeopardy because, 1, a lesser opponent, and 2, the ice and everything. But tickets are only like $10. So if you want to go watch KU Saturday, get your tickets. You might drive up there tomorrow, so you don't get stuck into some weather or anything like that. Clint did just ask me a question. Thoughts on KU's David McCormick? I need more Remy Martin with the ball in his hands. I agree. McCormick, I watched that game against Nevada, and it still seemed like we were trying to get the ball into him, and he's not the answer. But anytime you try to come after...
I feel like his...
Go ahead.
His offensive skills are just lacking. Like, you need a big body, big presence in there. But, brother, when we pass you the ball inside, it doesn't mean you think you're Kareem. We're going to do some hooks, and we're just going to put up shots we don't need you to. And then the next one is, man, I like Remy. You just got to let Remy play. Yeah. You got to get over your thoughts of Bill Self trying to be controlling with your point guards. You just kind of let him go. He makes a mistake. All right, let him go. But just don't let him. If he gets too out of control, then bring him in. But sometimes you got to let a player like that
go put him on the bench for a couple minutes. Like, hey, and then usually those type of players, like if they do something, yes, Coach Heffron is a KU fan, Drew. Like when a player like that has a high motor that's going to try to do everything himself messes up and you put him on the bench, it kind of clicks in their head while they're sitting on the bench. Like, oh, okay, I did mess up. I'm good to go now. Don't do that again, kind of thing. But like when you're sitting there berating him after a game saying how bad he was, even though he won you the game, like that's not going to fly very well for one of your better players, probably the best point guard you've had since Kirk Heinrich, I would say. I mean, granted, Sharon Collins and then Graham and Tyrod Taylor, like they weren't higher recruits. Like he's good at getting the 3-star point guard and turning them into something. And Frank Mason and Mario Chalmers, but Mario Chalmers might have even been a 4-star, 5-star recruit. But like, it's one of those. Bill Self has won too much to question him. No, because anytime that you start winning enough, he hasn't won too much. Where's our national championships? We don't need to get into this. I'm not getting into this.
Not tonight.
Not tonight. No, we could have a whole podcast on KU. No. Bill Self hasn't won enough to question him. He coaches. This is what I'll say about that before we get off here. He coaches at KU. What's KU known for? It's kind of like North Carolina Duke. If you're not making the Final Four that year, it's looked at as a bad year. Granted, he's led some team, like that run that he led that team that shouldn't even been there to the Elite Eight. Good for him. That's his type of team to run, though. Anytime he's got a big recruit or had a chance to make a run, they fell short. And, you can't put it all on the coach. But at the end of the day, at least Roy Williams was getting us there. KU fans are so spoiled. Well, pick a better team, Drew. That's all that is. Anyway, we'll get out of here for the night. We will probably do this again, maybe instead of you'll be back at work. We'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll figure it out. I like this a little bit more because we can get some interaction and get, if we have dead time, people can come in here and ask questions, stuff like that. It is fun. Eventually, we do plan on having just a full live show. And then off of our live show, we'll have the podcast, just kind of best of moments. That's what we plan on doing in 2022. We'll try to get Trent's beautiful face over here on YouTube. If you were in the Twitter spaces the whole time, you didn't happen to get over to YouTube to see us live or to see me live, I guess, hop on over here after this. And do I want another coach? Yes. Me or Clint or Pashawn Steps can go coach KU basketball for all I care. The recruits are going to come. You just got to have a better coach. Hit the like button over on the YouTube and hit the like over on the YouTube, and we will get after that. But for the spaces, we are out of here. YouTube, we can sit here and talk a little bit longer and go from there. But appreciate you guys. We'll be back to do this again. We might try Facebook spaces next time or Facebook chat room. Maybe that'll be a little bit different. We'll just keep trying to figure it out till we figure it out. Do appreciate the Chiefs, the Kingdom, to coming in, ask some questions. Everybody that asked questions, Colton, Clint,
Coach
Gary.
Thanks, man. Colton, thanks.
Yeah, everybody that asked questions, thank you. Appreciate it. They were all great. But we are out of here for the night on Spaces. Trent, the YouTube won't be able to hear you, so your final thoughts of all this.
Man, I actually had a good time with everybody asking questions and getting involved with everybody in the community. Keep supporting us. Big things are coming in 2022. Especially with the live show and trying to figure out how we go from there.
Yep.
And everybody's gone.
Everybody's gone. Love it. They can still hear you, though, on YouTube, so we're good there.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all. Good. Thank you very much. Twitter Spaces, thank you for the space. We're out.
I'm outie.
All right. Trent Steps declined to co-host. All right. Anyway, yeah, hot take. So YouTube is a little bit lacking over here, but yeah, KU. I don't know. Who's your favorite team, Drew? Mizzou? You should never left the Big 12. You'll probably say somebody else because, you're not a true fan of a team around you. But I do appreciate everybody coming in here on YouTube side. We're going to try to get this set up. We'll get some better camera quality. I'm just doing it through the MacBook right now. It's not the best. And it's not like on time. So I'm actually talking faster I'm not talking faster. I'm ahead talking right now than I am you guys seeing it. So it's a little weird to try to check on the comments and everything like that. So we'll try to figure out how to get that going faster so we don't have a delay or anything. Don't know how to do that. But I do appreciate everybody coming in here. We will get after it. Hey, Mizzou women took down number 1 South Carolina tonight on the Deuce. Watch that. Did tweet it out. Shout out to them. Too bad the boys teams decided that they aren't going to be a basketball school or a football school. Can't even beat a military academy. But it happens to the best of us, I guess. Next year when KU's running a bowl game and defeating everybody, we can just say, hey, maybe Mizzou shouldn't have ever left the Big 12. But you got to chase that money. You can't chase mediocrity. Oh, wait, you guys are mediocre. I'm just kidding. Love y'all. Drew, appreciate you being in here. Thank you, everybody, for the likes. Colton, thank you so much for the help. Tyler, thank you for the questions. Gary, thank you for your not hot takes. You have Miami beating the Titans. I'm going to book that. Appreciate everybody. Thanks for making this first night the best night we can have. We will be back better than ever the next time we do it. Until then, thank you very much. Appreciate y'all. What bowl did KU play in? Your mom's. Duffy out.